Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, dear Dharma practitioners, in this human life, the mind and the time has a deeper connection. You have to remember that very carefully. Your all thoughts that you carry related to time, and it has a deeper relationship with the time. So you cannot separate it. It's same kind of like a potter and the clay. So if you are the potter, that if your mind is the potter, thoughts, time is kind of like the clay. So then you have to remember what you get out of the clay, because the clay is going to be so comfortable with you, surrender to you, listen to you. So you become the master to handle it and give the shape to it and bring something out of the this unformed clay. So then you are the one who giving the colors, giving the shape, giving the strength to the time. So then every day you have to count on your each and every second you spend and see what you bring out of it, what you create out of the time. That's mean thoughts. So what kind of thoughts you build up in you. So when it come to that, the one of the important thing that you have to put attention, as a human being, you have to develop inner strength and you have to be strong. So when it come to strong, why it is you have to be strong in a certain level? Because this life is not easy. It is not a kind of like a very comfortable, happy journey. That's why the Buddha mentioned it always. This is full of suffering. So if you cannot handle it like that way, it becomes very difficult, not only for you, especially for other people around you, going to have a hard time when you don't have enough capacity to handle your own life, even for little things sometimes. So then remember, so when it comes to aeroplanes, there are planes, they cannot sometimes handle big storms. They go away from it. And and sometimes when the turbulence happens and they try to escape that and they go in a very comfortable way. But as you know, there are some flights they build with the purpose to go to the epicenter or the eye of the tornado. It has power to handle any kind of turbulence. So you have to be like that. Otherwise, you cannot go into the epicenter of this suffering. If you cannot go there, what will happen? When you see it, when you hear it, when you face it, you start to try to find a way to escape from it. Or maybe emergency landing. As parents, you raise your children and they go and start to have their own life. And suddenly, you know, they come back crying, and maybe they go to friends. And why? Because they cannot handling their own. So they kind of like come to you suddenly. It's kind of like an emergency landing. Why? Because they cannot handle situation. They come back to you. Even for us also same. Sometimes, knock the door, Bante, Bante, Bante. When I open the door, crying and, weeping and shaking whole. No, I ask why. Oh, this is the situation. I cannot handle this kind. When it look, slowly and little by little, it's a every day we see it everywhere. Remember, you're not going to have a life that not going to be that with other people. You're going to see You're going to have a life that whatever the other people also have. Once you recognize that you're not going to personalize your inner experience, that is a big win in your conventional life. And it will open some door to your spiritual development also. So then remember, be strong, because this is where you going to recognize this. Be strong mentally. That when you become strong mentally, that means you need one tool, that is understanding. That is what we trying to give it to you. And with the immunity that when you have with this understanding, when you have immunity with the understanding, don't worry about any situation, anything. You can go with any situation in life. That is what the Vipassana are trying to teach you. That is what the Buddha's teaching fundamentally trying to develop in you. So if you don't have that, you always go behind seen, unseen, this, many things, and you worship things, but it never going to help for us to become better person ourselves. So then remember yourself. Always, it doesn't matter how physically or how conventionally in day-to-day life material you build up a very nice life. Because if you cannot handle something mentally, it is very difficult. It doesn't matter how beautiful the kites that you build, but you need the wind to enjoy it. The same like the life, understanding, the becoming matured, this everything go through real life. Not by books or not by Dhamma talks or not by teachings, not by Tripitaka. No, when it comes to pure, organic, real life, it is your clear experience. So, but the thing is, this all the Dhamma and the teachings will help you to understand it within yourself and develop kind of like a strength in you. Then you can go through it and you can see it very clearly. So when it comes to that, we talk about the panya or the wisdom. In the Buddha's teaching, there are three kind of wisdom Buddha mentioned. So mainly these all teachings we can apply with the conventional and eternal. Another thing is when you practice meditation, always remember these all teachings you have to apply to day-to-day life, you become with it. Otherwise, you know something, but when a situation comes, you act in a different way, it's not going to work. Like loving kindness meditation. We practice loving kindness meditation. But how about when we get mad? Forget about all living beings, be well and happy, destroy everything and kind of like become a demon. You cannot be like that. Because if you practice loving kindness, that's mean you have to be like that. That is not you have to put effort to be like that way. No, you have to allow naturally transform you to that. So then to transform the whatever the wisdom that you gain, even observing inhalation, exhalation, this is inhalation, this is exhalation, the change, accepting change. So you practice meditation and you accept the change. And how about when other person or situation change? We have no power to accept it. We go crazy. What the point in practicing meditation? So then your practice itself should transform you to that wisdom. Even with the very little things, start to, to go with your practice. Don't be a separate person and don't separate your practice. No, you become like that way. So the thing is, if you don't allow it to become like that, it's not going to happen. So then our past memory, our self-centered mind, and everything hold us, and we not ourselves, we not allow our practice to come in. So then yourself remember, when we develop the wisdom, there are three kind of knowledge or the wisdom we have. One is called Jati Panya. Jati Panya means by birth you gain some wisdom. So deeply psychologically, when you come to the mother's womb from in the inside that 9.5 months to 10, and you develop some kind of understanding, some kind of like the brain, your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, this physical structure, it is very necessary. By birth, if you are disabled, you cannot understand this dharma, or you cannot have a successful life. So then you come to this world, and not only that, within few years, your parents, your brothers, sisters, family members start to teach you something. That knowledge is used to be here before you come. So as example, your parents' name, your brothers, elder brothers, sisters' names, or the village name, the country name, the history. So this all used to be here. So then what other people does, they start to tell, oh, this is your mother, this is your father, and this is the name, this is the school you go, this is the village you live. So like that. Sometimes from little children, when we ask, and what is your father's name, he cannot recognize, then he start to look parents' face, and then the parents remind, and then the child tell. So like that they learn. So that called Jati Panya. So you have to be very skillful person to develop that. Because that after you become matured or when you become young, you cannot neglect that. You cannot forget it. And you cannot destroy it. Because that knowledge, that wisdom, that whatever through the culture or the tradition used to be here, it is older than you. So like as example, look, this Buddha's teaching, 2,600 years old. How many lifetimes we maybe went through that? So then if we try to change that, what will happen? So like that, we in day-to-day life, we mostly, whatever that they are, that we forget the history. We forget the history. And then we just start to act that whatever according to the emotions or whatever we hear from others. So like that way, we start to act. And that's why sometimes just imagine that all the religions is older than that most of us. And then if somebody go against and destroy any religious place, from where that he gained that? Because that wisdom used to be here. It's like a river used to flow through this timeline for many, many thousand years. But look, sometimes people caught up with certain ideas, they go and destroy. So then the Jati Panya is very necessary. It helps you on conventional, you have a very good life. So otherwise attaining to enlightenment means you not go crazy or you not go against anything. Any person, whatever the right or wrong view they carry, that any person should be comfortable with you. It's nothing to do, you go against something. You resist any situation. Beggar to king, you become okay with anybody. So the generous person to the thief, you both accept in the same way. That is the mindset you come with that when you have the Jati Panya. So the one is the Jati Panya, it is very necessary that you have to have a very physical condition. Another thing is you have to have a mind to accept whatever the wisdom or the knowledge that used to be here. That is why look at the Buddha and how beautiful it is. He start to synchronize, he start to give new meaning like Panchasila. It is not the Buddha, it used to be for a long time. So then the Buddha accepted. and he didn't go anything. In the even the dana, giving dana, people used to do it in many many ways, as you know, that even the Mahaprajapati Gautami, when the Buddha attained to the enlightenment, that very day morning, and she offered that. That's mean the before the Buddha people used to offer. But what the Buddha did, then he start to give a new meaning to that. So then when somebody is there within you, and you heard that person, you become that person character is like this way, that way, well, rather than criticizing, rather than rejecting that person, go against that person, can you transform that person to something? Can you see that there is something that you can change in that person? Or at least rather than putting a name or the condition to that person, can you look at that person as a human being? Remember, when it comes to the Buddha's teaching, it doesn't matter how big you are or where you are. If you cannot see through, that means through the colors, the nations, the religion, if you cannot, the the living being or the person living inside, you cannot develop this wisdom. You have to practice deeply to understand this. So then remember yourself that don't have a mindset to go against things. So that is what uplift your jati panya, bringing that you accepting the wisdom or the knowledge, or maybe you know that before you born here, that your parents had a lot of knowledge and the wisdom, and but now children have the Google and YouTube and Wikipedia, and they go there and they Google something, and but maybe your parents don't know something about Google or whatever, in YouTube. So then if you go with that knowledge and argue with them, it's not going to work. So then in the very first level, you are learn to accept other person, because we don't know from what background, what condition that person come. So learn to accept. That doesn't mean you become like that. No, learn to be them to like that way little bit. And the second is, it's samatha vipassana panya. So then the samatha vipassana panya is conventional wisdom. So the conventional wisdom is in the samatha vipassana panya is when we explain it in a spiritual way. The conventional wisdom means that we have to come to a point to recognize same like other people. So as example, we call common sense. So this is a cup and it is a white. So like that way, we have to understand and we have to have that wisdom. So that is where everybody can drive on a road without getting accidents, because everybody recognize the same rules and regulations, and then everyone go through that. So that is very necessary. So then you have to look around the life, look others, look around, even look at the Buddha. When in the Matuposaka Jataka, that when his mother told and wish him, may one day may you become a Buddha. That time he didn't know who is the Buddha. So then how he became a Buddha? So start to look and search and ask from people. Then some people told, oh, Buddha, we heard the Buddha is kind of like this. And then he start to act like that way. Then he go to another place and ask. Then when people ask, what you trying to do? Where you go? Who you want to be? Then he tell, I want to be a Buddha. Then people ask, do you know the nature of the Buddha? No. Oh, he is the wise man. So then he start to look for that. See, even he became a Buddha learning and looking at others Buddha. In conventional life, remember, you can become anyone if you follow that person. That's very simple. Even when it comes to these Western countries, that there are many thousands books. It say how to become rich, how to become successful. The regarding this personal development, what is the main principle? And start to find and look and follow rich people if you want to be rich. Don't criticize them. Why you cannot be rich? Mostly because you criticize. So if you criticize that person, how are you going to be like that way? You cannot be. So like that, and always remember, when you want to be somebody, you have to follow that kind of people. So then that conventional wisdom, jati panya, and the samatha vipassana panya means conventional wisdom, and in day-to-day life, start to recognize things and according to the common sense. That is very necessary. And the third one called nepaka panya. So the nepaka panya means you start to act according to necessary conditions and situations. Conventional life, so in day-to-day life, it doesn't matter you are husband, you are wife, you are child, you are parents, you are teacher, it doesn't matter who you are. You maybe in your head you have a big character, you have a personality, you hold it to that. Oh, I am the husband, oh, I am the wife, I am the child, so like that. But when a situation comes, forget that identity and start to act according to necessary conditions. Don't always blame to people. No, that if there is something doing wrong or if you have to correct that person, in that time raising your voice and telling something is good. But if you always talk like that way, that is not good. It going to break the relationships. And sometimes, for some people, you need to advise in a certain level. But if you always advise other people, then other people get disturbed. You should not do that. So like that, you have to understand, okay, this is the time I have to talk. This is the way I have to talk. Okay, this is the way I have to do. That is what called sati. See, that you practice meditation, now you apply it to your life. Then naturally your life going to become more comfortable. The other people start to like be with you. Other people like to associate you. They feel more comfortable around you. So that is what you have to develop in day-to-day life. Nepakapanya, so forget about all the identity and start to act according to necessary conditions and situations. So that all in conventional life. And when it comes to spiritual life, these three things, jati panya, so whatever the wisdom that you have with the body and the physical birth, if your brain damage, if your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body have some difficulties, you cannot master this and you cannot attain to enlightenment. Another thing is the samatha vipassana panya means in day-to-day life, you have to understand this everything names and forms. So that is in meditation level, eternal level of understanding. This everything names and form. And all this world, this body related to 5 aggregates: form, feeling, sensation, formations. There's nothing else. And other thing is 4 elements. Inside, outside, all these material things come out of the 4 elements. Those are the things that you have to know. And once you know that, you come to a point, nepakapanya. Nepakapanya means when you attain to enlightenment, the very nature, behavior of the enlightened master, act according to necessary conditions and situations. According to necessary conditions and situations, act. That's it. No character builder. Not go with the pattern, not go with the habit. It all completely free from habit and act according to necessary conditions. See, now you conventionally develop that pattern even when you attain to enlightenment, you have the same nature. See that now your conventional life is not different from your spiritual life. So your everyday living nourish your spirituality. That is where you day by day, deeply practice yourself. So then whenever the situation come, and you face for that. Why? Because you already developed the wisdom within yourself. So then remember, don't separate. There is no dualistic mind when it comes to vipassana. There is no separation when it comes to vipassana. There is no resistance when it comes to vipassana. So this always what you practice, be with that practice. That is where it going to help for you. It never going to destroy you. Dhammo have rakkati dhammachari. That whatever that you hold or you practice as your spirituality, it going to protect you. So then always remember yourself every day by day, little by little. You don't need to do big things. Just start with the little things. But do your best for that. Do your best. And never have a mindset to go away from anything. You have a mindset, go towards something. That is the Buddha's mind. So with that, I bless upon everyone. With this good practice, may all of you be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you, may no difficulties come to you, may no problems come to you. May you also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties in your life. During this time period, may everyone stay healthy and safe. And finally, may all of you attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sabbitiyo vajjantu sabbarogo vinasatu mate bhavatantarayo sukhi digayuko bhava. Ittavata cha ammehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe devanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Idam me punya kammang Asavakkaya vahang hotu sabba dukkha pamunchatu. Bless you.